Whoa, we're back with some Bleach Soul Resonance, and as of recording this, we are only a few days away from getting our PvE VP mode put into the game. And with that sort of on the horizon, I wanted to talk about things that I do think the game still needs to work on. And you know me, I'm alone. I'm the biggest Bleach Soul Resonance glazer you probably watch. In terms of like, do I really put up that many videos where I get negative? Probably not. And I don't want this to be seen as a negative video because it really isn't. It's just more so we're in the half Annie now. What should we look forward to, hopefully, going into the full Annie in 6 months, right? Because that is obviously in the view like point, right? Like it's gonna come around and we're gonna get an actual anniversary like sooner rather than later. We're counting down the days here, right? So I do want to talk about a few things that I think could be improved in the game because I do really enjoy the game. I mean, as far as playing gacha, I've played Honkai Star Rail, I've played Epic 7, I've played this and that random one-off game that, you know, I don't really, you know, intend to ever go back to. I've played CBTs of games, I've played waifu games like Umusume, which I think are like really interesting mechanically, you know, spreadsheet games, which is crazy because who would have thought that a horse racing game would be as difficult to grasp as it actually is, and you know, so on and so forth, right? So I've played a lot of these games, I've played a lot of different styles of these games, I played PvE games, PvP games, so on and so on and so on. And because of that, I do have a few things that, you know, I think are sort of stock standard, I think are, you know, that I can speak on, that maybe someone who only plays IP gacha, which I mean, IP gacha doesn't tend to be the best form of the genre, like within gaming. So let's talk about number one, which I think is going to just continue to always and forever be core stamps. Core stamp dupes are actually becoming fairly important. They're becoming fairly important. I think that Grimjo, for example, his ability really shine once you get dupes in him, and you notice it when you're watching any sort of showcase. He can really get up there, and it's sort of locked behind his core stamp. Because of that, same with a character like Mayuri, who just gets better and better and better the more of these you have popped in. I don't really think I need like, oh, I need, you know, a million ways to get, oh, look at that, I got Nikaku, by the way, I should put that on him. I need a million ways to sort of, you know, access a billion core stamp dupes, but I do think it would be nice to have more, like just more options as far as that goes. Like, we really don't have any means of getting these outside of whales. The only way we would be able to get them consistently is if we had, you know, this material here, and you get it so rarely is the issue. You really just get it so rarely. I would like other ways to access Radiant Stamp Nexus, because even if it was something as simple as you can dust like 10 of these to get one Radiant Stamp Nexus, I would really like that. I think there should be some way to trade up. And right now, there's just no way to trade up with any of these, it feels like, right? So, I mean, look at this. This is nothing. And we just have so many. So, any way to trade up concerning these core stamps would be really, really good. And I don't think it would really break the game at all. Like, I don't think there is, like, this necessity for core stamps to be as limited as they are. I don't think they keep people from getting dupes. I don't think they keep people from wanting to get like B1 Grimjo, for example. They just make the character a little more accessible to get into, and just pull back a little bit on that entry level, like, oh, day one and I just don't have enough core stamps, or I just do not have the ability to get more core stamps. At this point, I would say that if you're managing your spiritual jade well enough, I think the weekly 5 core stamps that you were given, like in the shop for jade, at a very reduced price is kind of worth it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you're essentially taking what is it, 150 or 250 out of your weekly expense, your weekly reset. So when you get stuff like Frenzy Feast and the like, you're essentially taking like 250, 150 out of that, whatever it is, and adding it to your core stamp pool, which is just very scarce. Very, very scarce. The next thing I want to talk about is gear, and I've talked about gear quite a bit. This is less of a problem for me and more so a hang-up for others, I've noticed. Though I do get the sentiment. Gear does need to improve in its availability, at least to some degree. And this comes down to... I mean, what do I want to really say? This comes down to sort of needing options or... without a speed stat to roll, without like a speed stat to sort of hamper gear rolls, I do find it hard to be like, oh, you know, it's just impossible to roll gear these days. You know, it's, you know, this game's impossible to, you know, have fun enjoying gear. It's really not a thing for me, right? But I do think that there is obviously a... Ooh, that's actually pretty good. We do... actually, I don't know if that's pretty good. I guess we don't really basic deck that much, but pounce probably counts. I do think it is possible to sort of have our cake and eat it too, which is to say that gear just needs to have an easier through line with the main stat. And I think they could do this. I mean, stamina is not a plentiful, endless resource. Stamina is not a resource that we just have, especially the average player doesn't have. I mean, you saw all my spirit nourishers. It's mostly because I'm still using the monthly, which gives you one a day, and I don't really use my nourishers unless I really, really, really need them, right? Unless I really need to get con, or I'm doing like a gearing, like craft along session. I keep them because I want to have them for when things get a little like dicey, right? When I need to put out a showcase, when I need to get gear, when I need to level up a character. As you see, I'm slowly going through my level 100s here. And things like getting like Geen up and stuff will certainly be like where I fall as I sort of move up in that, right? But I do think that there's like a discrepancy between the average player and even low spending players, and I think it starts at these gearing these gearing hurdles that we have here, right? I would really like a means of acquiring both. I mean, even these passive skills are just so costly. All right, they're just so costly, and I don't think it's like, I think it is by design, obviously, which is why it's sort of frustrating for a lot of people. Is like, we need ways to supplement our gear, especially reroll these skills, without it being such a time trial. I mean, it takes a long time to build up this right here. I mean, you essentially get one free character gear set to 30, like stamp 1, stamp 2, stamp 3, per like character that comes out. Slightly delayed because usually the monthly does not fall on the same exact day as a character release. So, where is it? This right here. I mean, this is coming up in 11 days. When 11 days passes, we will have 4 days left until White Ichigo, right? So when White Ichigo comes out specifically, he will essentially have a free 30 to do whatever he wants with his gear. But this is not always the case. Sometimes you have to wait a week. Sometimes you have to wait 4 or 5 days before you get that refresh, that top up, especially if you're building other characters. You're trying to build out your supports, you're trying to get them leveled, because, supports aren't the most important to get to level 100, but they do have things that you want, especially behind this passive spirit boost. If you don't have my Yuri at level 100, for example, you don't get access to Terror, like passive 3, right? And so having this character at 100, having him geared out, having these like resources does become a bottleneck that sort of becomes a little lopsided at times. And I would like them to progress fully in that way. Endless Trial is coming. We can see it there. It's no longer coming soon. Endless Trial, I have no real opinion on. But what I will say is that there's a type of content in Epic 7 called the Abyss Tower, and it has unique, you have unique sort of pitfalls you need to overcome to defeat it. Both whales and free to plays. even in low spenders. It's sort of something like this, where it's like passage depths, where it's this event that has these like qualifiers that help you, and it has these things that you need to fulfill. Now that we have enough characters in the game, I would like to see more towers be like, hey, you need to freeze now. You need to freeze if you want to do damage to this character. It gives Toshido value, and it also gives Rukia value. Like, even if Rukia is an SR, even if she's not the greatest, if you start adding characters that's like, or adding conditions that are like, hey, if you froze within the last 10 seconds, you do 400% more damage, suddenly the rotations and the team building start to shine. And I would like to see missions and gameplay mechanics reflect the quality of the characters rather than being flatly damage reliant. I mean, we see it's already, but typically they only really circle around the new character. Things like, oh, if you use Grimjo, then you'll do percentage more damage in things like Wasteland Hunt, right? That's like the thing. If you click on this, if you use Grimjo's pounds, you get a bunch of extra things. Why not do this with like actual stages, but it's like, make it more generic. If you apply an ailment, you get this. If you apply specifically, I don't know, what is Renji apply? Is it like a lacerate or something? Like, yeah, lacerate. Hey, if you apply lacerate, you get this, you know? Like, I think it is something to consider. I really do. If you heal, you get something. If you know, which we have 3 healing characters, I think, in the game total, and they all essentially aren't used at all for their healing abilities. And I think we could start padding out content with things that actually involve the characters that we pull, that aren't essentially just limited time content made to be beaten by everybody. Like, you know, I would like to feel like, oh, I need to build this character because we've got something upcoming that I need them for. And it's not always, oh, I'm just gonna, pour all my resources in Aizen because he's Aizen and he's the strongest. Those are my complaints, though. Those are my, like, not even complaints. I guess it's just like critiques, my expectations. You can see all my stuff is reset now. So we're waiting on that. We still got 21 days left on that there. But yeah, that's probably where I'm at. I think the resource part of the game is handled. I think anyone needing more Jade, needing more tickets, needing more, I don't really buy it. I think we get a lot of that stuff if you're not just constantly pulling for dupes, constantly pulling for everything, with luck sort of factored in, which you will get lucky on a banner at some point. That's just how it goes. I don't know. I think I'm very positive on that regard. So it just comes down to padding out the game with more features, padding out the game with more quality of life, and padding out the events themselves with more game-specific detail, instead of it just sort of being, it's a DPS race, right? We've got enough DPS races, and I would like to see that get explored. Stuff like this get explored, where we need 3 teams, but maybe one needs to be a freeze team. Maybe one needs to have like a thing like Kenpachi's ailment damage in there, or maybe one needs like quick swaps. If you're not swapping, you just don't do enough damage, so you need to use Grimjo's team, right? You need to do something like this, or just something. I think that would make the events feel a little more fresh, involve a little more team building. Whales could still dominate it because they simply just do a lot of damage, etc., etc. But I've been Lone. Hopefully all this makes sense. Like if you like the video, subscribe to the club. We'll go make it, and peace.